Top of the morning, top of the morning, top of the morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Closing Table. We have Mr. Daniel White back in action this morning. How you doing there, brother?
I am super excited to be back, my friend. I feel like I missed a lot, but Miss B did hold it down on Monday. I know she had some camera troubles, but that was a show in itself. So I hope you guys ordered something and fixed that.
Indeed. I got the backlash. Why you get me on there when the camera wasn't going to? Like I did my best, for the 10 minutes I had to prepare you. But
it was good, man. It was entertaining as we were driving to the hospital for the surgery. So all
awesome,
good. Man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you all enjoyed the show. But yeah, man, definitely enjoyed it Monday. I wish we didn't have so many tech problems, but that's part of life. Just keep pushing forward and moving on, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, man, everything's good. Family's great.
Yeah, family's good, man. I had lots of people, we didn't trying some new things, James. I'm not trying to post everything on social media. Especially when it comes to like family business, stuff like that. But yeah, Sage had a little bit of a surgery on Monday. It went well. He's recovering well. I had tons of people reach out. That didn't even, I don't know. I didn't even know how they figured things out, but they do. And yeah, everything is good, man. Everything is good. Wife, daughter, business, everything's going well. Yourself?
Oh man, listen, lovely. Can't complain at all. Everything is going super fantastic. Team is building. I love the fact that we're building our team. We got a couple of new agents on the team.
Yes, we do.
The market is still doing what the market does. It's a little bit more competitive right now, but that just shows you if you can survive a competitive market, you can survive anything, right? So,
James, you're absolutely right, man. And on that note, with the partners and stuff that we are growing with here is, the big difference is every time a partner joins our elite listing group, it's, hey, welcome to the team, all that stuff. It's welcome to the family before anything else.
Indeed.
And I hope that each one of those partners get that feeling is that, that it is family, that we all do have each other's backs. We preach in our meetings and stuff like that it's, hey, you know what? If there's a house in Sarasota and you're Orlando, why are you driving to Sarasota? Get a partner to help you out and take care of things and be more productive instead of being busy, right?
Exactly.
So yes, it's a nice thing, man.
But yeah, awesome. And again, shout out to our elite listing group family. And again, real quick, good morning, Dolores. Good morning to you. Top of the morning. Destiny, good morning to you as well. Who else we got? Daniel, of course. Good morning. And Joyce, good morning. Top of the morning to you as well. Listen, if you're on YouTube, we got one. B Walker, good morning. If you're on YouTube, please hit the like button right now. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already, so you can be notified every morning when we go live. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please jump in the comment section, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Let us know how you feel about any of these topics that we're going to be talking about today. Overall, our topic this morning is we're discussing, is the American dream dying? And if you don't believe in American dream, then I must say you missed out on some golden opportunities. The American dream is, I personally still think it's alive and well. The reason why I think it's alive and well, just my quick perspective on that, is because we have people, we have presidents, we have possibilities, we have running, just people who's running for different office positions, who's fighting to keep the American dream alive. I mean, our democracy is at risk. There's a lot of things that are at risk when it comes to our freedom of speech, our Second Amendment, our Third Amendment, our Fourth Amendment. There's so many different, situations where we're looking to lose our country to illegal immigrants. I don't care how you feel about that. That's just my personal perspective. I don't mind people coming over here. I just don't want people who are not going through the process of coming over here and just taking what they feel they deserve when people who's been here haven't been able to get what they deserve. Correct? So just with that being said, Daniel, how you feel about the American dream, man? Is it dying or is it alive and well? How you feel?
I still feel that it's live and well, my friend. I have to agree. I was hoping that you were going to disagree with me on this one here, Ed, so we'd have some controversy going on. But you know what? I thought about it driving home or driving in this morning, and there's a lot of opportunity still here. And the opportunity here you don't get elsewhere. And so, what is the American dream? Is it family? Is it running a successful business? Is it having multiple friends? I say that now because of social media and everybody has to have a million friends to be, popular, right? Is it having $5,000 in the savings account, 10,000? What is your American dream? I think it's different for everybody, right? But I think at some point you have to pick that American dream and figure it out. And I think that's maybe a little bit of the problem right now with everything that's going on, getting ready for election. We've got a war going on over in Ukraine. We've got all this talk about the debt ceiling and stuff like that. I think people are losing the idea that the American dream is here, right? And the American dream, in my opinion, is what do you want out of America? What opportunities are you taking to be successful, to accomplish that American dream? Is it buying a house? Is it buying a Tesla? Is it, working for Amazon for 25 years and retiring? What is your American dream?
Indeed. One thing about, and again, I don't know how you feel about this, but when President Trump was running for president, and the whole MAGA, slogan was going around, "Make America Great Again," was one of the top of the, biggest discussions there were at that time, and still is now, kind of, is one of the biggest discussions. "Make America Great Again" is one of those terms that are used, or slogans that are used, to say that America was great at one time. There's a lot of cultures in America that don't feel as such, that they don't feel like America was ever great. We've always had slavery. We've always had, abolishments of the Indian culture. There's always been something in play when it comes to our culture that make us look like as if we're demonizing a cultures, or a certain culture, like the white people or white Americans, and making them, idolizing them as they're the rulers or of the country, and while they're subjugating everybody else to slavery. There's some people who have that mentality that America has never been great. We've always been working towards greatness, and that a lot of these opportunities are for one culture, not others. I tend to disagree with that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit up here and be one of those guys who always felt like America was great. No, I was taught that America had a lot of problems. I was taught that America, or quote unquote white people, ran America, and they kept quote unquote black people in slavery, and separated. We can't do this. I don't look at it that way no more. I used to, because I was taught to see it that way. Just like anybody else.
I think you're right, James. You're right. I mean, unfortunately, in schools growing up, that's kind of how the books were read.
That's how the books was written, shitty, right? Shitty. So, and not even that. It's like you have family members, you have people who do not educate themselves to a degree to actually fully see what America has to offer and the opportunities that are garnered here that aren't garnered in other countries. There are other countries who's big on socialism. You can't do things. You can't go places. You can't adapt. You can't grow. You can't help your friends and family, get to the position of being.
Can't have kids anymore.
Can't have kids. Yeah. There's so many
2 children, which isn't a bad law, yes, but
I mean, I think we talked about this, but in China, during their regime of not only forcing people to have one child, that one child, if you had a second child, you couldn't register that child for Medicare. You couldn't register that child for a social security number or whatever numbers they're using over there. That child couldn't go to school. That child couldn't even go to school. Yeah. That child couldn't even go to school. One child could go to school and get everything, but the other child was pretty much non-existent to society. So, I mean, there are so many different countries where the opportunities are so limited that I don't understand how we're holding something that happened 400 or 500 years ago. And let's even say that, okay, in some people's eyes, it only ended in 1960 or ended in the 1960s. Okay, when do we move past that and focus on what's now? Like, I personally think America has always been great due to the fact that we've been able to build such an amazing country. And it takes being great to get there. But now I think it's starting to be ripped from under us in a way that a lot of people can't get on board unless it's a socialist mindset, because they are focused on, well, if you got it, I need it. Even with the California thing. All right, well, we every people deserve millions of dollars because they great grandparents was in slavery. Like, I mean, I'm trying to figure out how that works. So there's so much going on that's ripping away the culture or the fabric of our great American society. So
when does it stop? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you feel, James, that, and here's my opinion on it, right? Like, for me and you going through school, like, this is what we read, this is what we were taught, this is the history. And again, history is history, and I understand it. But the way that it's presented in those books is not good for anyone. It doesn't matter what color you are. It's not good for anybody, right? I feel, and I've always kind of felt this way, that as the generations as we keep growing, I am thinking, like, for my son's group, your daughter's group, like, is it better now than it was when you and I were in high school? And I'm hoping that those young men and women start looking at it like you and I do. Like, we are just two men on a show trying to be as productive as possible, trying to push each other to greatness, right? And I think when you and I were in school, it was very diverse. Like, you had your groups. I have certain conversations with my young man and stuff like that about high school and stuff like that. And yes, there are separations, but there's also a lot more welcoming, with culture and stuff like that. So I hope I'm right. TVs don't show that, and news channels don't show that, but I'm hoping in that younger generation that we are moving farther away from the history that you and I have been reading for many, many years. Does that make sense?
I totally agree. When I was coming up in school, I remember, and again, I grew up in Mississippi, so the diversity, or the amount of diversity that my wife experienced, or maybe even you being in Florida. I mean, my wife experienced so many different cultures. She experienced so many different structures of life that I only started to experience as an adult, because I was so, I was technically segregated because I lived in Mississippi. Not saying that it was not possible, but due to the fact that we didn't have a lot of different cultures coming to Mississippi to integrate into different cultures. But my wife, born in South Central LA, she grew up with Indians, she grew up with Chinese, she grew up with Asians, she grew up with Jamaicans, she grew up with, not even just white Americans. She grew up with Russians, she grew up with, Slovakians, and all of these different cultures where it's normal to have friends of different, dynamics or demographics. For me, I think the closest thing I had growing up was an Asian kid who was a transfer. Him and his family came over, and he was his name was Bo. Really great guy. I mean, really great kid. I didn't see culture back then. I didn't understand diversity back then. It wasn't, he didn't look at me as, oh, that's a black guy, or whatever. It was just, we coexisted in school. That's all that mattered. We was friends. But if you look at it from the outside, a lot of people would have seen that, why are you hanging out with that Asian kid, this and that, creating that type of, separation or segregation amongst people.
I'm sitting here thinking, James, like, when in school did this all pop up, right? Like, through your preschool, like your kindergarten, first grade, so it's somewhere like third, fourth grade is when
third or fourth grade,
like, kick it in, unless you have parents that just are asses, and
because again, a lot of our parents grew up with that mentality because they was taught that mentality. They went through some things we didn't go through. So I understand, I get it. But as we grow and as we build, we have to start looking at this inclusion of our people, American people, as a wholesome thing and not something that should be causing conflict. So again, I love the American dream. The American dream is alive and well. I was taught that the American dream wasn't for me at a young age, but I'm a living witness that I'm able, and anyone is able, and multiple people are able to, grab it and reach out and grab it at any given point, at any given time, and right now, as you mentioned a second ago, me and you, people would look at this and like, hey, there's a white guy named Daniel and there's a black guy named James who have a closing table together. Well, what you just said is that we're both pushing each other to be great, right?
Yep.
There's like that would be like, well, he has it easier. He's a white guy. James probably got to work a little harder. No, I don't look at it that way. That's not the case. We both equally have to work just as hard to gain the success that we're wanting to gain in this country. Because there's 20 more of us out there, Daniel. There's 20 more Daniels out there doing the exact same thing. There's 20 more James out there doing the exact same thing. How do we garner that notoriety to build our businesses? How do we continue to get the company and the business we get for our companies to continue to make money and grow? We have to put in the work. No matter what color you are, the American dream is here, and I think people are trying to rip it from under us. And I refuse to stand by and let that happen. I want to be a voice for the American dream. I want my kids to grow up with opportunities that I was able to garner, and not be ripped away from them when they rightfully deserve those opportunities due to the fact they are American citizens and they was born here. So,
hell yeah. Absolutely 100%, James, right? Like we're fighting every day. If you're not fighting for something, grab a hold of something, right? Like I am fighting every single day for a better world for my family, for my friends, for my partners. Like that's who I am. Like that's why I wake up every single day, right? And I think you and I both, the best thing about us, doesn't matter if you work harder on Monday and I work harder on Tuesday. At the end of the day, we both stay in our lanes and we're like, all right, let's just put the pedal to the metal and let's work side by side and get to the finish line, right? And so I'm on this American dream with you, my friend. Until you say you're retiring and you've bought a house in Florida at the beach, then we're gonna stay in our lanes, okay?
Indeed, I love it. With that being said, let's move on a little bit and kind of get the conversation rolling. As we can see here, Bernadette said that the same people saying America was never great are somehow blind to the fact that people are dying and risking their lives to get here. Name another country where that's happening. True. And we're going to talk a little bit about Title 42 in just a second. They call African nations great. That represents the bottom 3/4 of global economy and safety of its citizens and food scarcity, but they can't be great. But they can be great, but America can't. True that. Understood. All countries have had some form of slavery or underclass. Why is America history a problem? I totally agree with that as well. That's a question that needs to be asked, because I don't think a lot of people are asking the right questions when it comes to why do we get so much backlash for our history when it's just history. It's how we came about to get where we are today. The reason why you walk out of your house, crank up your Cadillac or your Escalade or your Bugatti, without actually having to finish high school or college, why you're able to get on social media and make multiple millions of dollars just by shaking your butt or putting on makeup, showing people how to put on makeup. Or you have your 8-year-old or 5-year-old child jumping on YouTube making multiple $1 million to buy you a house only in America, because you can't do it in China. You can't do it in other countries. It's not possible. There's so many things that we look down on, and we blame our government and we blame our country for their past and not accepting what that past got us today. It got us understanding, and I think we need more of it.
James, I'm thinking we should probably mimic some other people that are on TikTok and stuff like that. We could probably be hits, my friend. One of us could dance, one of us could do stretching, one of us could do jokes on our wives and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie, man. I fall into a trap when it comes to the jokes with the wives and the husbands, man. Those are pretty funny. I'm glad my wife isn't into that stuff, because I'd be in trouble.
I actually like those videos as well, man. Honestly, I do.
I mean, but it makes you laugh, right? After a long day of working and all of that stuff, man, like you just want a good laugh. And I sometimes have a very difficult time watching comedians, because I feel like if you've watched 100 of them, they're all the same at that point, right? It's like, so I like watching the little husband and wife kind of jokes and stuff. And then I'm like, all right, I've watched this for 7 minutes now. I've got to get off of it.
Yeah,
So,
practical jokes. I definitely think, we all need a good laugh. I mean, we are in a country now where everybody's too serious. We're always too serious all the time. And now again, now that you're talking about that, we have what we consider shadow banning. Shadow governments. We have things of that nature that is keeping content from certain people. They don't want people to be able to access this content. And this goes back towards our American society dying. Because again, I don't want to always be force fed to watch somebody doing, or always talking about something serious, some type of conspiracy, some type of BS, on Biden or Trump. I want to see something that's going to say, hey, it's a bright side to what we're in. It's not always this serious. And I think we use our government as a stepping stool to create conflict in our country. Too much.
Unfortunately, James, success doesn't sell.
You know what? And I was just telling Bernadette that yesterday. It doesn't. Positivity doesn't sell.
And see, now we're thinking alike. See, we do stay on our own lanes because we didn't even talk yesterday, my friend. It's sad that that's what sells. Like we tell people all the time, like I don't want you to be busy. I want you to be productive, right? Being productive, you're going to be successful, right?
Indeed.
Being busy, you just look the part.
You just look the part. Exactly.
But success for somebody to sell. Success, you're like, oh God, it's just another white guy, it's another black guy, it's another Asian, a million likes, and you just flip on. But as soon as you see some controversy, oh man, you dial in. It's
love it. 20, 30 minutes of your time. And that's part of the shadow government's propaganda tactics to keep you dialed into the BS. The longer they can keep you dialed into the BS, the less success you even think about. You think about less success, because again, I like a good entertainment. But I don't like being force-fed propaganda constantly. I was telling Bernadette, right? and we can go ahead and kind of get into this a little bit. I didn't want to stay on shadow governments too long because it's going to kind of run into everything that we're talking about. But pretty much Title 42, right? We know that ended last Thursday?
Thursday or Friday? Yep.
Last Thursday, last Friday, midnight or Friday. We know that happened, right? But there's multiple articles out there, Daniel, that says Title 42 ended and we had 5 million immigrants come across the border overnight. Well, I was telling Bernadette, I read an article that said it was a 54% drop in the expected numbers, that only 300,000 came over. So just that type of propaganda. Which one is it? Is it actually 300,000 or is it 5 million? Like, how many actual illegal immigrants came over across the border that night? How many are coming over right now? Now, don't get me wrong. A number is a number. We have a lot of 300,000. In a sense, it's just as worse as 5 million. We have that many illegal immigrants coming over who's being dropped off in places like New York, places like Chicago. They say they drop them off in front of Nancy Pelosi's, house. Sure, fine. I don't know.
I don't think anybody's getting close to Nancy Pelosi's house right now. So that's probably.
Well, we know what happened last time somebody got close to Nancy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just overall, it's like, how do you feel about this Title 42? And how it's allowing this amount of, because I mean, I don't know if you've seen the videos in Texas, and I can pull one up, but these illegals are sleeping on the streets now. They're it's funny, James, right? Like when you watch the news and they talk about Title 42 and what's coming across the border and all that stuff. One of the things that I picked out, right, is they're talking about all the massive amounts of people that are showing up to the borders undocumented, trying to get in, all this stuff. It's 15, 20 minutes of all of this, like all this negative stuff. And then they're like, again, some people may not like this, but then they're like, the Biden administration did put in
one or two of these things, and they have certain groups, and the military is going over and sorts, but there's still 300,000 people showing up to the border every single day. We don't have enough people to support it. Like, it's a very small little section. Like, I know Title 42 expired, and I know there's an influx of people, but our government is doing something. It may not be the best, but they're doing something. I don't think there's 5 million people flooding to the border. I definitely think that number has increased from whatever it was from last Thursday to this Thursday. I'm sure there's a ton of people there. I really think, James, on a side note here is, I think Florida may be impacted. I had a really good conversation yesterday with a commercial buyer looking to buy some commercial property down in Miami. And he's like, you know what, I'm scared here in Florida for the building, because there's a lot of undocumented people here. And if the government really starts dialing in and pulling people, you're going to start seeing construction sites slowing down. I never thought about it that way, but it's possible.
I mean, it makes sense. I do agree with that. It does make sense. Overall, I think when it comes down to it, we have to look at the bigger picture. Like, now, I don't know if you heard about the school who's the school that's being forced to now do PE outside or in the streets because they're giving the gym to illegal immigrants, or the veterans. Yeah, the veterans in New York who's been kicked out of the hotels, where they were being housed, because they're giving those rooms to immigrants.
Yeah, well, both of those stories are, I mean, that's just ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, man. It's a lot of things.
And I don't know which one's worse, right? Getting children out of the gym. I mean, I guess that's okay. We should get our kids outside, playing outside, right? But what if it's snowing in New York, right? Then what do you do? And then we have our veterans that, have blood, sweat, and tears for the country that they believe in, and we're just going to throw them back on the streets. There's not a right way there.
Yeah, there's definitely not a right. It just comes down to, for me, and again, I'm pretty sure a lot of Americans agree, but that's almost like saying, listen, if you got a spare bedroom in your house that's not being utilized, you have to allow an illegal immigrant to stay there just so they're not on the street. I mean, come on. I mean, think about that now. If you got a spare bedroom at your house, you will be forced to allow an illegal immigrant or a person, a citizen, or someone who's not a legal citizen to live there until they can get legal. That's crazy. That would be crazy, right?
Crazy.
So we have to start protecting our democracy to the fullest extent. Now, overall, I personally think your boy DeSantis, and yeah, we're going to talk about the CBDC as well, because I think there's going to be a bigger play about that. He's banning, man, he's put in like 4 legislations over the past 4 or 5 days. And, I think I like DeSantis, man. I don't know if Trump doesn't win, then DeSantis has to be if DeSantis beat Trump, I don't care. Trump beat DeSantis, I don't care. They should both run together, because I think they can make some great things happen. But what he's doing for Florida right now is amazing. The legislations that he's passed about the CBDC, banning digital currency from the government, keeping people's privacy intact, trying to eliminate the social credit score. The social credit score, man, if we go to that bull crap, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Because he made a great statement, like, in Florida, we're not trying to keep people from being great. If you want to get a loan from the bank, it shouldn't depend on the fact that you're a gun owner. It shouldn't be based on the fact that you spent, or that you said this or you said that on your social media. None of that shouldn't matter. Only thing that should matter about you getting a loan is if you can repay it back and if you have the credit to. So I really do think DeSantis, is doing some great things. He's still battling Disney. He's still battling the LGBT community. And I'm not saying that the LGBT community needs to be battled. I think it's just coming to a point where people can't freely express their own sexuality without hurting the feelings of another group. Like I can't say, hey, I'm proud to be straight without hurting the feelings as well. Why you're proud to be straight and why you're not proud that LGBT. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just proud to be me. I don't
Yeah.
know why I'm not proud to be you. I'm proud to be me. But that's just part of the thing. Is like we all are looking for someone to say, hey, give us some middle ground. And I think DeSantis is doing that, bro. I really think he's doing that.
James, I can't agree with you. I cannot agree with you more, right? Like there are things like when it comes to the LBG community and the way that he goes about certain things, I'm not with it. I don't like it, right? His gun law in Florida, don't like it. Don't like it. It's my opinion. But when it comes to the crypto, when it comes to the digital currency, when it comes to the rights, when it comes to the real estate in Florida, when it comes to the insurance business in Florida, like I'm all about this guy. If Trump would just take a little bit of his persona and not be such an ass all the time, he'd have 75% of the votes in America. He would by a landslide because people already love him. They love him or they hate him. But the majority, I think 25% of the people that hate Trump love the fact that he makes some money, but the way that he talks, the way that he calls people names and stuff like that. Look at DeSantis. He doesn't have to do any of that, and he's winning in Florida. Let's just say Florida. He is winning in Florida. So I'm all on board with DeSantis, and that is totally against my voting, my registration on my voter's card. But I am supporting him, man. Again, there are things that I don't like that he does, but he does more good for me as a Floridian, living in this state, as a business owner in this state, that I can't be happier.
I totally agree. And due to the fact that he's coming up with all of these legislations that's actually helping the democracy of America stay intact, I overall feel like you are going to have an influx of buyers in the next 6 months to 18 months. Like there's going to be so many people looking to buy there, build there, just start to, flourish. Florida might have to buy part of Georgia at some point just to sustain, just to sustain, like the bottom half of Alabama, Mississippi.
You heard it here first on the closing table.
Say that again?
I said you heard it first here on the closing
table. Yeah, they're just going to buy the bottom half of Florida, Georgia.
Line, Florida, Georgia line. Can we push that up about 50 miles?
Because it's honestly, I must say, it's really, really nice to see. I think taking the fear off the table, because a lot of people fear the backlash of being open and being, suggestive. It doesn't mean that just might mean suggesting something doesn't mean I'm against what you're for. But how do we come to a middle ground where everybody can create a influx of happiness and trust and security, where we're not overshadowing each other when it comes to what we're trying to build in America? Because I think where we are currently is that we're giving so many people the opportunity to bring their deviance to the light. And I'm not saying that LGBTQ is deviant in any form or fashion, but I'm saying there are things in the world that are deviant. And if the more people we just allow to be in this atmosphere of acceptability, we're going to just constantly build and open up gateways and doors to just having our free democracy being too far left or too far right. And then we always need a happy medium. We always need a happy medium. That's why the church was in play at one point. They have created that happy medium of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable in society. I don't know if you know this, but right now there are a group of strippers. I'm sorry, I don't know if it's correct to say strippers anymore or
they're
dancers,
creating a union or something like that.
Huh?
Aren't they creating a union or something like that?
A freaking union, bro. They're unionizing. I don't understand this. And again, don't hate them. Don't hate me for my lack of understanding. Educate me, of course. But overall, what's the point of unionizing? You know, you chose to work at a strip club. Like, I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing these days.
I don't even know, man. God, I'd rather talk Republican Democrat at this point. I feel like we're gonna get beat up. I'm gonna get oranges.
I don't know if this
is have my car today.
Like, can somebody please and again, this is just open
James,
content.
I just saw this yesterday and I was like, I don't know if I caught that right. I'm like, all right, okay. I mean,
like what kind of
like I mean, they're working their tails off, right?
They make more money than me. Like, should we be unionizing? Should we be unionizing? I'm just saying.
Well, hold on, James. We can solve it. We can solve it. They get digital currency instead of cash. Then we can track it. So then they can pay the proper taxes on that cash that they receive. So instead of cash, they get digital currency.
You know what? I think if we went that route, they wouldn't have the same mentality at that point. They wouldn't have the same mentality about unionizing, because I'm trying to understand what's wrong. Okay, maybe I can't even fathom that conversation. Like, I don't even know where to start, because I'm not a stripper. I've been to some strip clubs, but I don't know where the bad stuff starts and ends at a strip club. Because from my understanding growing up, all of it's bad, but how do we make it good? Like, I guess we're trying to make it good in the eyes of society. So means less topless, more top. I don't know. Like, no more private lap dances. I don't know what that looks like. I'm sorry.
Love me. When I saw it, James, the first thing I thought, I was like, well, if they're asking for a union, okay. I get it. I mean, I'm not against unions, but we need to start paying the proper taxes, because there's no way when they make $800 a night or something like that on a Friday or Saturday that they're claiming that, or they're paying 20 or 30% of that.
Bro, right? $800 on a Friday night, $600 is going to nails, weave, probably babysitters, things of that nature. And I may be wrong. I may be outside of my scope here. I don't know. But just overall, I've known some people who danced in clubs. I'm not saying this is the visual of every stripper, but I know a lot of girls are going to college. I know they're using that money to better their lives. But you can't even say that now, because you're saying this is a job to better your life. That's saying that it's at the bottom of the totem pole. You know, this is a stepping stone. I think now we should be idolizing people who are in this field of, self-employment, because I think you should go to self-employment. I think you should register your business as a self-employed business if you're going to be a stripper. It's no more you have a boss, and I think that's what we'll probably end up saying. You don't work for me. You don't get a W-2. You're self-employed. I don't know. Maybe it's already like that. A W-9.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping they have some type of LLC, some S corp, C corp, pay themselves, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Wouldn't that make more sense that you LLC this thing or C corp this thing out? You're a W-9 worker just like me, So maybe that's the structure. I mean, maybe so, maybe not. I'm not quite sure. But salute all the strippers out there that want to be unionized. I'm against unions. I don't like people forcing me to do certain things, so I don't like doing that. So that's just me. So
I like it. In the 90s, stripping was a way to pay for college. Today, it's a career choice.
I would agree to that. It's definitely a career choice. Before we get up out of here, man, let's have a discussion, man, about your guy Biden and the family scandal of 2023, 2021 through 2023.
What scandal, James? Every channel that I watch, it's rubbish. It's crap. It's all made up, a lie.
Come on, man. You don't go there, bro. You know damn well that Biden been stealing money. Him and his whole family been stealing money. They're corrupt, man. You got to accept it now. They're corrupt.
Are they all corrupt, though?
No.
I mean, did you see Giuliani's video?
Giuliani's a lawyer. He's not running. When he was a mayor, he was a corrupt mayor of New York, bro. Come on. We all know Giuliani is piece of crap. Now, overall, does he get things done? Sure. Illegally? Sure. Does he do it for the right cause? Maybe. But overall,
I think he's a scapegoat for Trump.
Come on. Don't do that. Don't do that. Daniel, Biden, At this point, you telling
Oh,
me
I was talking about Giuliani and Trump, but yeah. No, I get you with the whole Biden thing in the
but do you
sun
but
and the
at this
documents.
point,
Yeah.
are you really still sticking by Biden's decision?
Am I what? Say it
Are you
again.
still sticking by the Biden's decisions that they're making every day? Like everything these people are doing is to benefit their own pockets.
Unfortunately.
It's crazy, man. I don't understand why we're. Do you think Hunter is going to go to jail, or should he? Should Hunter go to jail for what he's done?
No, I don't think any of them are going to go to jail.
But you think he should?
Yeah, 100%. 100%, I do. 100%. But I don't think he'll spend one day in a cell.
I agree with that, and the reason because his father's already the whistleblowers up for the IRS that stated that that all the money that was taken over the past 7-8 years, well, not sorry, 7 8 years, for over the last 9 years that was taken in by Hunter Biden from the I'm sorry, CCP.
Am I right when it comes to whistleblowers? I think I researched this, God, years ago, right? But with a whistleblower, they're entitled to 10%.
10% of what?
So let's say 10% of like whatever he stole, taxes, didn't pay on taxes, stuff like that. If there's a tax issue going on, stuff that the whistleblower is entitled to 10% from the government.
Whoa, I didn't know that. I mean, let's find that out real quick.
Yeah.
Are whistleblowers entitled see? Yes, whistleblowers are entitled to financial reward under the False Claims Act. In general, whistleblower receive a percentage of the government's ultimate recovery.
Yeah.
Yep. You was right about that. Between 10 to 30%. Well,
damn, right? Like, why aren't there more whistleblowers?
Well, damn. I actually heard about some
you
stuff.
know what I'm saying?
I've heard about some things I think I need to go to the government about.
When you're talking $50 million, big butt shit, I'm gonna blow too.
Well, damn. You know what? The no snitching clause I thought was only for the streets, and I guess since I'm no longer considered a street guy, it's okay for me to be a snitch. So let me find out somebody doing some shit. I'm headed to the government.
James, but it's okay if you don't do it, you tell someone else to do it. You know what I'm saying? Then they'll be the snitch, right?
Yeah, you be the snitch. Yeah, but I mean, I did not know that. That's some great information, man. I'm glad you brought that to the table. Yeah, so that means 80-90% of the people who have ever whistleblowed that survived to see that payment, that live to see that payment.
You know what's James? You know what's crazy? When I researched that was when Trump was running for president or became president, because I didn't know. I didn't know what it was. So I've only known it for the last 6, 7 years, 8 years. And then when I was reading into that stuff, it was like I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I'm like, on a big case like that, when there's millions of dollars and you can get 10 to 30%, yeah, why not?
Why not, right? Yeah, I mean, so yeah, whoever is the whistleblower, this IRS whistleblower on this Biden situation. I think Hunter should definitely go to prison because at this point, this is tyranny. This is bigger than any grabbing them by the, wah-wahs and, I can just walk up and, kiss them. I think, again, I'm not saying that's not wrong. I'm not saying that it's not, inconceivable. I'm stating that this is bigger on so many platforms that now we have a whole family who has no business structures, who has no actual business, acclimates that can actually show us that they were making money before the government. Biden is rich as shit.
Oh,
and you don't get a lot of money as a president. You don't get a lot of money as a vice president. Not enough.
President's like $800,000 a year or something like that.
Yeah, that's not a lot of money in America. So you're talking about. This man is multi-millionaire. Nancy Pelosi, them are multi-millionaires. I mean, her husband was on a stock market. He was getting inside information. We've had that conversation. I think there's so many corrupt people in government overall. In government, I don't know why we're still using regular people who are not educated, who has more bankruptcy cases and more and more debt than the average person to run our government. But I think we need to restructure how our government council is being selected. I do think, we need to go back to a point where you have to be a Harvard graduate. You have to be, prestigious college graduate, or at least have a master's in something. I don't understand why we got people who barely graduated high school and only did 2 years of community college running our country. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that, but sometimes we need more experience, younger experience.
James, I would really like to see, on talking on that note there, right? I would really like to see where it comes to campaign money. It's an even number, or there's a cap. There's a cap for
definitely. You spend
now,
that campaign money accordingly.
You run out of money, sell yourself.
Sell yourself.
When we go to a meeting and we're speaking in front of a group of people, what are we doing? We are selling ourselves at that point, right?
I think to funnel all of that money in campaigning is crazy. So many people get rich off of that. And I'm like, we have to change that notion. We have to get out of that mindset that we need multiple $1 billion to do a campaign. No, we don't. Stop paying for news channels. Stop getting in bed with conglomerates like CNN and all of that bull crap. We need for these newscasters to give free campaign spots. And
you want to know what I turn off, James? When I turn off, it doesn't matter if it's DeSantis, Trump, Biden. It doesn't matter whoever it is. I hate it when they get a celebrity. I hate it when they get a celebrity that comes up and they're talking about each other and all of that stuff and just trying to sell it that way. Like, I love The Rock. I love him. You know what I'm saying? Followed him through college and all that stuff. And, but like when he shows up next to a president or something like that, and I don't know if he does or not, but like at that point, I just turn it off. I'm like, stop trying to persuade my vote because I like the actor, the singer, stuff like that. That's not what I want.
Listen, one thing I've learned over the past 5 to 10 years of my life is not listen to someone just because they're a celebrity. I've met real celebrities, and some of these people can't find their own ass, let alone help me figure out who I need to choose as a potential candidate.
Correct, man.
That's not going to happen. I don't give a damn who you get. We've had a couple of celebrity presidents, but that's I don't think we'll have a lot of them. I don't know if I would have voted for Arnold Schwarzenegger if he would have ran for president. I'm like, dude, you did okay as the governor. I don't know if I want you leaving the goddamn country. That's just, I don't think that's going to be the play. But overall, I don't know if I agree with you. That dude.
I think we would all be much healthier if he was the president, though.
That is facts.
Like, they would probably implement a Arnold Schwarzenegger law that you have to work out 5 times a day.
5 times a day. Yes, I totally agree. But that dude, I don't know if I agree with you on the 2 years. I personally think they may need more. I don't know, man. I think every 2 years we should reevaluate, which we reevaluate every 2 years anyways. Kind of like
no, it seems that way because it goes president, 2 years later, then it's governor, president, governor. I think that's how it goes.
Yeah.
So that's why it seems like it's every 2 years. It's kind of like the summer and the winter Olympics do the same thing. It's like every 4 years, but every 2 years we get something. So I think 2 years is probably too short. I mean, the 4 years is good. 8 max. I get it. But again, we just need to reset the entire government, right? And start all over. Unfortunately, we'll never see it in our lifetime. So.
I think we need to get rid of the nepotism in government. I think we have to get rid of that. Unless that nepotism can come from a true place of education where that person has went through multiple years, who serviced in the lowest parts of government, alderman, I'm talking about the lowest parts and work their way up. But to serve 2 years as a Senate, and then 2 years later, your first 2 years as a Senate, and 2 years later, you're running for president, get the hell out of here with that, man. Get the hell out of there. Like, you start off as a senator. No, I think if you don't have any government experience, if you wasn't a secretary for someone, if you didn't do some leg work, I think the lowest part, you think alderman of some district, it should where everybody should start.
Well,
And it's just
okay. On that notion, right? We were talking about this, right? When we're talking about presidents, senators, stuff like that. The judges, how long do they get to sit on it? Forever?
well, aren't most judges like lawyers?
Yeah, but on for the government, what is
Oh,
it?
Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court, like they sit there forever.
Yeah, I think
That's ridiculous.
I would agree with that, but
Like I love my grandmother, right? But and I'm sure there's not somebody that's
Granny.
But what I'm saying is, I mean, okay, I've got this seat. I don't have to move for the next 30 years. I could just sit here. For 30 years, you believe in what you believed in your entire life. Like life changes, the world changes. Like that is unbelievable to me that we don't change those seats out. And again, I know there's an appointment process and all that stuff, and that's another story in itself. But like our president of the United States can go a max 8 years, but our Supreme Court justice top people can sit there for 30 years, 40 years. That's just seems crazy, man.
And you know what? Being totally honest, I do agree with you on that because we have a lot of people who get comfortable and they don't actually do the job because they like doing the job. They do the job because they're forced to. And when that comes about, you get this kind of this kingship or queenship about the position where I'm untouchable. And I think, instead of them sitting on the Supreme Court board for more than 2 to 3 years, they become advisors. You can be there, but now you're just advisory board. You're advisory board.
Yep.
If there's a situation where it's really huge, we need an advisory board to discuss on how to proceed versus just giving this to one person. So I mean, I totally agree with you on that, man. And overall, I know we need a Supreme Court, and they're responsible for the biggest decision in our American culture and our democracy. But when it comes down to it, I think again, a lot of nepotism, a lot of social dysfunction. A lot of people with old mentalities. Like you said, we need a big reset in our government. Overall, we need an overhaul of our government, and I don't care who you are. The way it's set up now creates too much conflict, and we need to refigure it out. We need to refigure it out, but I don't know if it's going to happen. That's just what it is.
All we can do is pray and push our children and our family and friends hopefully into the right direction, and then they spread the news as well, right? I mean, that's it, man. All we can do is rise and grind every single day.
Indeed. Well, with that being said, I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Thank you for tuning in. Again, this has been the Closing Table. And salute, man, DeSantis, man. I think I'm going to be buying a property in Florida, bro. Florida looks like it may be the place to go, place to be. I want to get out there before the prices get too high.
I would say I know some good partners, but I know that you're duly licensed in the 2 states, my friend. But,
yeah, I can put that money back in my pocket, But yes, I definitely want to advise people. Start to think about your democracy. Start to think about where you want to end up in this American society and how you want this American society to end up, because that's part of the great American dream. You actually have a say. Don't worry about the shadow governments who's pulling strings to get this going. They got to do it through you. The shadow government can't do anything without convincing you that it needs to be done first. And I feel like sometimes we all fall into this mindset and this mindscape that we just going to let the government do what they do.
Stop.
But,
yeah.
We have to start sticking up for our democracy. We have to start fighting back and giving ourselves an opportunity to survive in the country that we built.
Yep.
You built. You're currently building. So don't let it fall in the hands of people who don't want you to succeed as a individual, let alone as a country together. So with that being said, thank you for coming to the Closing Table.
Thank you, man. I'm glad to be back, my friend. Damn, I miss Monday, man. I miss it, man. I like this little man. I'm super motivated right now. I'm ready to go.
Let's go get it, man. Let's go
go
get it, because
I'm
that's
gonna
what
go
the great
tackle the
American
Biden
society
family
allow us to
scandal.
do. That's what
I'm
we're
gonna go
allowed to
light
do in
this
this great
anthem on
America.
stage.
All right, y'all. You all have a great one. Remember, hit that like button, that subscribe button, and notification bell. Until next time, we will see you Monday. Have a great one.